gratification, and he is free from attachment and hatred in his activities. Such a detached person naturally prefers to live in a secluded place. He does not eat more than what he requires, and he controls the activities of his body and mind. He has no false ego because he does not accept the body as himself, nor has he a desire to make the body fat or strong by accepting so many material things, because he has no bodily concept of life. He is not falsely proud. He is satisfied with everything that is offered to him by the grace of the Lord, and he is never angry in the absence of sense gratification, nor does he endeavor to acquire sense objects. Thus, when he is completely free from false ego, he becomes non-attached to all these material things. And at that stage, and that and that is the stage of self-realization of Brahman. That stage is called the Brahma Buddha stage. When one is free from the material conception of life, he becomes peaceful and cannot be agitated. This is described in Bhagavad Gita 2:70. Apuriyamam nachalam prashtam samudrama parevishanti yadav tadvat kamayam pravishanti sarve syasanti mapnoti na karma kamin. Quote, a person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that enter like rivers into the ocean, which is ever being filled but is always still, can alone achieve peace, and not the man who strives to satisfy such desire. Unquote. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Thank you. Yeah, so this is the process of attaining more. Mute yourself. Mute yourself. Yeah, thank you. So much noise there. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so this is the process, of attaining Brahma Buddha. One who controls his body, his mind, and power of speech, who is always in trance and who is detached, free from false ego, false strength, false pride, love, anger, and acceptance of material things, free from false proprietorship, and peaceful. Such a person is certainly elevated to the position of self-realization. So this verse is telling us, it's like there is and at school, when you go to school, we learn the things from the teacher, and it's time for application. There is time for application. Okay, so we are devotees. We read about practicing Krishna consciousness, but there is a time to practice what we read. Because the next verse is very interesting, because the next verse will really explain the state of one who attend the Brahma Buddha stage. And 51 and 53, they describe the process how to attend this Brahma Buddha stage. And 54 is the one who will attend that stage. And 55 will describe what is the state of consciousness of the one who have attended Brahma Buddha stage. You see? Now that's why I asked the question. The title of this chapter is called The Perfection of Yoga. Don't you remember that we already read about sense control, controlling the body, controlling the mind, controlling the power of speech, controlling fast pride, loss, all these things. We learned them before, right? Now they are coming again here. Because we are finishing Bhagavad Gita, and we want to see that after reading the whole Bhagavad Gita, we become a perfect human being. Okay, this is kind of summarizing everything. Conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. Now we go to text 50, and sorry, there is one verse down, the last verse from Bhagavad Gita 270. A person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desire that enter like rivers into the ocean, which is never being filled, but is always still, can alone achieve peace, and not the man who strives to satisfy such desire. This is the mood. This is the mood of someone who wants to attain the stage of Brahman Buddha, free from material conception of life. Now we're going to really know what is the state of consciousness of someone who has attained Brahma Buddha. Text 54. Mataji is there. Ananga Mohini, Mataji. Are you there? She's not there. Okay. Bhavanana Prabhu.
Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat for now.
Yes.
Text 54. Brahma Bhukta Prasannatam Atma Nat Sukcham Na Pasha Shati Sama Savasu Bhuktasu Mad Bhaktim Lavati Param. Translation. One who is thus transcendentally situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahma and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed toward every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. Purport. To the impersonalist, achieving Brahma Buddha stage became one with the Absolute is the last word. But for the personalist or a pure devotee, one has to go still further to become engaged in pure devotional service. This means that one who is engaged in pure devotional service to the Supreme Lord is already in the state of liberation, called Brahma Bhukta. Oneness with the Absolute. Without being one with the Supreme, the Absolute, one cannot render service unto him. In the Absolute conception, there is no difference between the serf and servitor, yet the destination is there in the higher spiritual sense. In the material concept of life, when one works for sense gratification, there's a misery. But in the absolute world, when one is engaged in pure devotional service, there's no misery. The devotee in clear consciousness has nothing for which to lament or desire, since God is full. A living entity who is engaged in God's service in Krishna consciousness becomes also full in him. He is just like.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So this is the state of mind of the one who is a Brahma Buddha. Brahma Buddha Prasanatma Ana Sakina Kakshanti. Sama Savesu Bhuteshu Mad Bhaktim Labate Param. Yes. One who is thus transcendentally situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed towards every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. Yeah, for the knowledge, this is one of the sloka to memorize from this unit 3. Yeah, this is the first verse to memorize. And the next verse also, 55 also. Yeah. So yeah, you know, he never laments or desire anything. Human beings in this world, especially in Kali Yuga, we always lament about what we don't have, and we have so many desires of things that we didn't have. So we lament and we desire, and we cannot love all the entities, living entities, equally. Remember, we mentioned about the Panita Samadarshina, equal vision. See the Brahmana, the dog eater, the cow, the dog eater are the same. Equal vision. Equal vision can be just verbal, but how can one really come to that stage of equal vision? How can we develop equal vision? The process is there, 51 to 53. Then this verse is describing the person who has attained that Brahma Buddha stage. So a devotee is supposed to be on that level. And he becomes fully joyful. Someone who is not happy, how can he give joy, happiness to others? You cannot give what you don't have. So as devotees, we're supposed to, when we go on Harinam, when we go on book distribution, when we perform our activities as devotees, when we go out, people should see peace, joy, happiness in us. You understand? So yeah, it's mentioned that Krishna, the impersonalists, to achieve Brahma Buddha stage, they want to become one with the absolute. Is the last word. But for the personalists, one or pure devotees, one has to go still further to become engaged in devotional service. So the Mayavadis, the impersonalists, they become one with Krishna at the end, at the goal, at the last achievement. But devotees, they become one with Krishna, and from there the devotional service starts. So there are two ways of becoming one with Krishna. One is for the impersonalists, they kill their individuality, they enter the Brahman Jyoti, Mayavadis. And devotees also, they become one with Krishna, not that they merge into the body of Krishna, but they become one with interest. Krishna's desire is their desire. You don't have separate desire from Krishna. Understand? That is called Brahma Buddha stage. So, without being one with the Supreme, one cannot render service unto him. Yes. Because you don't have any interest. You don't love him. You don't know him. How can you serve a master we don't know? How can you love someone you don't know? See? And the last paragraph, because you didn't read all, it's too long. It says, in the absolute conception, there is no difference between the server and the servitor. Yet, the distinction is there in a higher spiritual sense. So there is no difference between the server and the served. We are servants. Krishna is the one to be served. We are Prakriti. Prakriti. Krishna is a Purusha. Purusha, the enjoyer. we are meant to be enjoyed by Krishna. Yeah, that's why he says here, I think in the purport, in the beginning of the purport, transcendentally stated, one realizes the Supreme Brahman. He never laments or desire to have anything, equally disposed to every living entity. he attends pure devotional service unto me. So this is a Brahma Buddha stage. But to get there, we have to follow the process from text 51 to 53. But we already learned that especially in chapter 6. Right? Chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita, the title is Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yoga is a meditation, how to meditate on Krishna. Okay, thank you. Don't forget, this text 54 is a sloka to memorize. Okay, we go to text 55. Who can read? Stephen Govinda.
Hare Krishna. 55. Right.
Yes.
Okay. Bhaktyamam Abhi Jannati Yavanyas Chasmi Tata Tato Mam Tatwato Jatwa Visati Tad Anantaram. Translation. One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. Okay, I take that again. One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me, by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. Hare Krishna.
So read the first paragraph of the purport.
Okay, Hare Krishna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and his plenary portions cannot be understood by mental speculation, nor by the non-devotees. If anyone wants to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he has to take to pure devotional service under the guidance of a pure devotee. Otherwise, the truth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead will always be hidden. As already stated in Bhagavad Gita chapter 7, text 25, Naham Prakasha Sarvasya, he is not revealed to anyone. No one can understand God simply by erudite scholarship or mental speculation. Only one who is actually engaged in Krishna consciousness and devotional service can understand what Krishna is. University degrees are not helpful. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Yeah. So again, I inform you, this is another shloka to memorize. Huh? Don't forget that. And if you, because the purport is long, otherwise there is an analogy in this verse. Because I asked you yesterday, I asked you to read from text 49 to 66. I don't know if you read. Those who read, who can mention the analogy? Yeah. You don't read. How can you progress? No.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes.
Let me try.
You try without reading.
No, not reading. I said like the aquatic. You know, talking of the person. I'm mentioning the analogy.
Yeah.
Okay, say like an aquatic in the ocean. We find so many living entities within the ocean. If we go deep, surface acquaintance with the ocean is not sufficient. One must have complete knowledge of the aquatic. Then living.
That is your analogy.
I think you said that in the bringing up the analogy of the the understanding, pure understanding of Krishna consciousness.
Okay, thank you for your contribution. So who can tell the situation? Where is the analogy on this from this verse? Because you didn't read yesterday. Huh? Gora Shakti, Prabhu.
Yes. Hare Krishna Maharaj, I didn't understand the analogy about which you are talking.
There is one analogy in this verse, this text. If you read it, because yesterday I asked you to read, to prepare reading before coming today. So if you really read it and you study your handbook, you can easily find the analogy of this verse.
Yes. The analogy is that a green bird enters a green tree, not to become one with the tree, but enjoys the fruit of the tree.
Correct. Thank you. That is the analogy. So verses 54 and 55 are very, very important. If you are going to do some essays, probably one of the essays will come from this. You have to learn. And also, in exam, we can ask you about analogies from this verse, from this chapter also. Very important. A green bird, maybe we can go to that paragraph. Who can check that paragraph and read it?
Okay. Okay.
Yes, Mataji, you want to read?
Yes. Sorry, the paragraph. It says that, for instance, a green bird enters a green tree not to become one with the tree, but to enjoy the fruits of the tree.
Exactly. You talk about the two types of oneness. Mayavadis, they enter into the Brahman Jyoti. They become one with God. Devotees also, they become one with Krishna. So the analogy is very clear. If a bird flies, a green bird flies and enters in a tree, the leaves of the tree are green, right? So it is not because the bird has entered the tree that the bird merge into the tree. No, the bird will keep its individuality. Same thing also when the devotee they become one with Krishna. Even when we enter Krishna's abode, we look up in Navan, they keep their individuality and they still remain servants of Krishna, never becoming one with Krishna. The 5 type of mukti. Sayuja mukti is very bad. Sayuja mukti means to merge into the existence of God, become a particle of light in the body, in Brahman Jyoti. So this analogy is very, 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 very important. Very important. Please memorize it. So yeah, one can understand me as I am, as Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. So 51 to 53 describe the process of attaining Brahman Bhuta. 54 describe the state of consciousness of a person who have attained Brahman Bhuta. And 55, the qualification or the consequence of attaining Brahman Bhuta is that we are qualified to enter into the kingdom of God. So here we mention about kingdom because they don't believe that God is a person. So if he's not a person, meaning he cannot have a kingdom. No? So please consider very well this analogy. The purpose is long, that's why we should take time and read it. Some few points are here. Devotion service is there as long as devotion service exists. There must be God, the devotee, and the process of devotion service, even after liberation. Yeah. And another point also, the green bird, yes, a green bird enters a green tree, not to become one with the tree, but to enjoy the fruit. Yeah. Another example of for the person is that the river flows into the ocean and merge into it. But the fishes, small fishes, they don't become different. Even the ocean, the rivers, they enter into the ocean remain ocean, rivers remain rivers. But they personally keep its personal individuality like an aquatic in the ocean. You see? So it's very important to understand this point. Après le programme, oui, maintenant. Maintenant, là. Après, à 14h. Après le programme. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Any question? Any question on these two verses? They are very important. Huh? Please take time and read them again. Now we will go to another section, 56 to 66. This describe how to surrender to Krishna. How to surrender to Krishna. You know, we describe the 9 process of devotion service. Shravana, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Satyam, Dasyam, Archanam, and Atmanivedanam. Atmanivedanam means to surrender to Krishna. How to do that? How to surrender? What is the difference between someone who has surrendered to Krishna and someone who has not surrendered to Krishna? What are the symptoms of someone who has surrendered to Krishna? Someone may say, I love God, I love Krishna. What are the symptoms? How do we know that, yes, you have surrendered to Krishna effectively? So this section, text 56 to 66, will describe that. Yes, Gora Shakti Prabhu, read text 56.
Hare Krishna, Guruji. 56. Sarva karmani api sada kurano mat vyapashrayaha mat prasada avapnuti shashwatam padam avyayam. Translation: though engaged in all kinds of activities, the pure devotee under my protection reaches the eternal and imperishable abode by my grace. Purport: the word mad, vyapa shraya, means under the protection of the Supreme Lord. To be free from material contamination, a pure devotee acts under the direction of the Supreme Lord or his representative, the spiritual master. There is no time limitation for a pure devotee. He is always 24 hours a day, 100% engaged in activities under the direction of the Supreme Lord. To a devotee who is thus engaged in Krishna consciousness, the Lord is very, very kind. In spite of all difficulties, he is eventually placed in the transcendental abode or Krishna Loka. He is guaranteed entrance there. There is no doubt about it. In that supreme abode, there is no change. Everything is eternal, imperishable, and full of knowledge. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So, though engaged in all kind of activities, my pure devotee under my protection receives the eternal and imperishable abode by my grace. So, we study the analogy of a soldier who follows the instruction of the general. He does not, pay any consequence of his action, because you mentioned about the three type of action: vikarma, karma, and akarma. So yeah, again, though engaged in all kind of activities, my pure devotee under my protection, under my protection, reaches the eternal abode, the eternal and imperishable abode of my grace, by my grace. Yeah, because every action in this material world brings a reaction. But here I say, devotees are engaged in all kind of activities, but they, under the protection of Krishna, he doesn't pay any reaction. There's no reaction. But the karmis, those who are not devotees, they also engage in many kind of activities. But this is called karma bandhana. Bandha means to bind. Understand? So a devotee is the only person who is free. Devotee is like someone who has a laissez-passer. I don't know if that word is there in English. Laissez-passer. When you get to the border, if you are a diplomat, you show a paper, oh, the immigration say, okay, you go. Yeah. Because you have a laissez-passer. Free entrance. Understand? So yes, devotees, they can engage in all kind of activities. There is no reaction because they are protected by Krishna. Yeah. The word Madhyapashtriya means under the protection of the Supreme Lord. To be free from material contamination, a pure devotee acts under the direction of the Supreme Lord or his representative, the System Master. Yes, this is the only way to avoid entanglement in this material world. Okay, text 57. Mataji, they are there, but we call them, they don't read. Ananga Mohini Mataji. You there? There. Baralila Prabhu, please read. Text 57.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Chichasa Sava Kamani Mai Sanyasya Matpara Uchi Yogamu Pasritya Machita Satatam Bhava. Translation, in all activities, just depend on me and work always under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me. Purport. When one acts in Krishna consciousness, he does not act as the master of the world. Just like a servant, one should act fully under the direction of the Supreme Lord. A servant has no individual independence. He acts only on the order of the master. A servant acting on behalf of the Supreme Master is unaffected by profit and loss. He simply discharges his duty faithfully in terms of the order of the Lord. Now, one may argue that Arjuna was acting under the personal direction of Krishna. But when Krishna is not present, how should one act? If one acts according to the direction of Krishna in this book, as well as under the guidance of the representative of Krishna, then the result will be the same.
Thank you.
The Sanskrit word.
Okay. Thank you. Very good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Krishna.
See, so we mentioned that this section of verses, text 56 to 66, describe how to surrender to Krishna. Very good point here. Krishna is telling here Arjuna that in all activities, just depend on me, upon me, and work always under my protection. In such devotion service, be fully conscious of me. Sometimes we can be, devotee with tilak, shika, 7 head, dhoti, sari, japa bag, everything, but we are not conscious of Krishna. Why? Arjuna is the best friend and a devotee of Krishna. But Krishna is telling him, in all activities, just depend on me and walk always under my protection. In such devotion service, be fully conscious of me. Our movement is called the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So we need to be conscious. If we are conscious of fire, fire cannot burn you. If you are conscious of a danger, the danger cannot do anything to you. But if you are not conscious of the danger, if you are not conscious of the fire, fire can burn us. Same way, if you are always Krishna conscious, we are conscious of Krishna, we will always remain under the protection of Krishna. Okay? Aibo? Yeah. So very good point also in the purport. Very clear, very clear. When one acts in Krishna consciousness, it does not act as the master of the world. Just like a servant, one should act fully under the direction of the Supreme Lord. A servant has no individual independence. He acts only on the order of the master. A servant acting on behalf of the Supreme Master is unaffected by profit or loss. He simply discharges his duty faithfully in terms of the order of the Lord. Now, one may argue that Arjuna was acting under the personal direction of Krishna, but when Krishna is not present, how should one act? If one acts according to the direction of Krishna in his book, as well as under the guidance of the representative of Krishna, then the result will be the same. You follow? Yeah. So yes, Krishna, he taught Bhagavad Gita 5,000 years ago. He's not physically present, but Krishna as is representative. Yasha prasado Bhagavad prasado Yasha prasada nagati kutopi. Every morning we sing that Mangalarati. And we also sing the prayers of during Guru Puja, Guru Bandhanam. So yes, we act under the guidance of Krishna or is representative. There is no reaction. So we have to read this verse again. The purport can read all. Very, very important also. Text 58. Who can read Leader Shuka, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Machita sarva dugani mat prashadat tarishyasi atasitvam ahankaran nasyosyasi venan shyasi. Translation: If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such conscious, but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost. Purport: A person in full Krishna consciousness is not unduly anxious about executing the duties of his existence. The foolish cannot understand this great freedom from all anxiety. For one who acts in Krishna consciousness, Lord Krishna becomes the most intimate friend. He always looks after his friend's comfort, and he gives himself to his friend who is devotedly engaged working 24 hours a day to please the Lord. Therefore, no one should be carried away by the false ego of the bodily concept of life. One should not falsely think himself independent of the laws of material nature or free to act. He is already under strict material laws, but as soon as he acts in Krishna consciousness, he is liberated, free from the material perplexities. One should note very carefully that one who is not active in Krishna consciousness is losing himself in the material whirlpool, in the ocean of birth and death. No conditioned soul actually knows what is to be done and what is not to be done. But a person who acts in Krishna consciousness is free to act because everything is prompted by Krishna from within and confirmed by the spiritual master. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Yeah. So Krishna is still speaking to Arjuna. If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. If, however, you do not walk in such consciousness, but act through false ego, not sharing me, you will be lost. False ego, ahankara. See, it is the ahankara, if you, from chapter 13 of Bhagavad Gita, we learn how we have to, the title of this chapter was Nature, the Enjoyer, and Consciousness. And also chapter 15, talk about the banyan tree. Yeah. So the banyan tree is a tree with the roots up and the leaves branches down. And the fruits of that tree are three gunas: goodness, passion, and ignorance. Some fruits are sweet, some fruits are sour, and some fruits are bitter. So we are moving around from one branch to another branch, but we cannot get satisfaction because the tree is already upside down. It's not a real tree. We are trying our best to get pleasure. We cannot get it because the tree is reversed. If you see a mango tree close to a river, what happened? The mango tree is there in the river, but opposite. Okay. Can we say that it is the mango tree? Is the mango tree? Yes. Because the reflection of the mango tree. But at the same time, we cannot say it's the mango because we cannot enjoy that mango reflected in the river. So here, if you want to become conscious of me, if you become conscious of me, will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. If, however, you do not walk in such consciousness, but act through forced ego, we are forced to go, we cannot know the roots. The attachment was like the most solid roots of the banana tree. Attachment. You remember? Krishna will help us to cut the attachment. But the false ego will not allow us to cut this false ego, because the false ego make us to think, yes, I'm the body, I'm the enjoyer. And if you're not hearing of me, you will be lost. Krishna is speaking to Arjuna. He is speaking to us also. Text 59. Gorashakti, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. 59. Ya ahankara a Shri Tya Nayotya iti manyase mityaisha vya vasayaste prakritis swam niyokshati. Translation: if you do not act according to my direction and do not fight, then you will be falsely directed. By your nature, you will have to be engaged in warfare. Purport: Arjuna was a military man and born of the nature of the Kshatriya. Therefore, his natural duty was to fight. But due to false ego, he was fearing that by killing his teacher, grandfather, and friends, he would incur sinful reactions. Actually, he was considering himself master of his actions, as if he were directing the good and bad result of such work. He forgot that the Supreme Personality of Godhead was present there, instructing him to fight. That is the forgetfulness of the conditioned soul. The Supreme Personality gives direction as to what is good and what is bad, and one simply has to act in Krishna consciousness to attain the perfection of life. No one can ascertain his destiny as the Supreme Lord can. Therefore, the best course is to take direction from the Supreme Lord and act. No one should neglect the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or the order of the spiritual master, who is the representative of God. One should act unhesitatingly to execute the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That will keep one safe under all circumstances. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So if you do not act according to my direction and do not fight, then you will be falsely directed. By your nature, you will have to engage in warfare. By your nature. Again, by your nature, you will have. Arjuna is a Kshatriya and he's making philosophy. Arjuna is not the Pandit, he's just a Kshatriya. Krishna is telling him, if you do not act according to my direction, because I know you, I know your tendencies, I know your desire, I know your strength, your weakness, everything I know. But if you do not act according to my direction and do not fight, because you are a fighter, then you will be falsely directed. Because you try to display the varna of another person. You are Kshatriya. By your nature, you will have to be engaged in warfare by your nature. So you cannot avoid your nature. You cannot avoid your nature. You see? And when you read I think the previous verses, we read that The living entity's tendency is to serve. So by nature, we all have to serve the Lord. But now we have the partners also were there. But our original tendency is to serve the Supreme Person of Godhead. Krista Subhagavam Swaham. Jivera Swarup E Krishna Nityan Das. That we are eternally servants of Krishna. Our original, constitutional, and natural position is that we are eternally Krishna Nitya. Okay? Any question here? We can go. Can we move forward?
Yes, Maharaj.
This point is very interesting, so we have to follow them nicely. Bhavarana Prabhu, 61.
Hare Krishna. 60?
60, yes, sure. 60, yes.
Yes. Swabhava Jana Kuntiya Nabrudu Sana Karmanam Katum Nakchasya Yamuhat Krishyaya Visopi Tat. Translation. Under illusion, you are now declined to act according to my direction, but comparing by the work born of your own nature, you act all the same, O son of Kunti. Purport. If one refuses to act under the direction of the Supreme Lord, then he is compelled to act by the mode in which he is situated. Everyone is under the spell of particular combination of the mode of nature and is acting in that way. But anyone who voluntarily engages himself under the direction of the Supreme Lord becomes glorious. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Under illusion, you are now declining to act according to my direction. But compelled by the work born of your own nature, you will act all the same, O son of Kunti. So if you want, can refuse to act, but still you will act based on your natural tendencies, based on your guna and your karma. Yeah. If one refuses to act under the direction of the Supreme Lord, then he is compelled to act by the mode in which he is situated. Everyone is under the spell of a particular combination of the mode of nature and is acting in that way. But anyone who voluntarily engages himself under the direction of the Supreme Lord becomes glorious. So if you want to serve Krishna, fine, that's good, that's very good. But if you refuse to serve Krishna, but we will still have to act, but in the Tamagun, or Rajagun, or Tapagun. Yes. So the best way is to voluntarily accept to serve the Supreme Lord. Because one way or other, we have to serve. Then why not serving the Master? 61. Stephen Govinda.
Hare Krishna. 61. Ishwara Sava Bhutanam Hede Dese Arjun Stitati Brahmayan Sava Bhutani Yancharudani Maya. Translation. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjun, and is directing the wandering of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. Okay, I take that again. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjun, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. Purport. Arjun was not the supreme knower, and his decision to fight or not to fight was confined to his limited discretion. Lord Krishna instructed that the individual is not all in all. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, or himself, Krishna, as the localized super soul, sits in the heart directing the living being. After changing bodies, the living entity forgets his past deeds, but the super soul, as the knower of the past, present, and future, remains the witness of all activities. Therefore, all the activities of living entities are directed by the super soul. The living entity gets what he deserves and is carried by the material body, which is created in the material energy under the direction of the super soul. As soon as a living entity is placed in a particular type of body, he has to work under the spell of that bodily situation. A person seated in a high-speed motor car goes faster than one seated in a slower car. Though the living entity, the drivers, may be the same. Similarly, by the order of the Supreme Soul, material nature functions a particular type of body to a particular type of living entity, so that he may work according to his past desires. The living entity is not independent. One should not think himself independent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The individual is always under the Lord's control. Therefore, one's duty is to surrender. And that is the injunction of the next verse. Hare Krishna.
Very good, thank you. Yeah. So those who read before coming to the class, there is one analogy here. Who knows that analogy?
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
I think the analogy is a person seated in a high-speed motor car goes faster than one seated in a slower car. Though the living entities, the drivers, may be the same.
Yeah. How do you explain this? Based on the property read.
Hare Krishna. Yes, I think this verse really is simultaneously almost the same with the chapter 14. How material nature is controlling, and the super soul is also on another platform, and the quality of our life depends on how surrendered we are to Krishna. So if someone surrendered to Krishna, it's like that person is moving on a faster car, and the person who is not surrendered to Krishna is in anxiety or
that's good. Who can explain again also on his own word?
Hare Krishna, Guru Dev. Okay,
yes.
I would like to use other words for explanation. Yes. Okay, in this analogy, so we get to know that it is the super soul that gives the order to nature in order to give a certain body, or if I can put it this way, to make a body that is suitable for the living entity, so that that living entity will enjoy according to his inclination. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So that's why you will see some people very slow, some devotees very advanced, some devotees are very you know, advancing quick. Krishna Priya. I saw a name there. A question?
Krishna Maharaj.
Yes.
No, actually, you were saying who wanted to explain, but Prabhu Guru Shakti I've already
Yes.
said.
Explain yourself for your own word also. Or is the same you want to say?
Oh, okay. According to what he read, what I understand is that the super soul,
Yeah.
the super soul orders the material nature to give us a particular body according to our own desire, our past desires. So with this, I believe that can be said that there are some people, although we are the same human being, finding it very, very difficult to observe the four regulative principles. While some, it is so easy for them. This is a different level of people. This is my own understanding. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. That's correct. Yeah, that's why we have devotees. Kanista devotees. We have Mandam devotees. We have Uttam devotees, like that. That's why in some people are devotees, some are karmis, some are personalists, some are jnanis, some are yogis. You know, yeah. Thank you. That's very clear. Huh? This analogy is very important. Thank you. Text 62. Who can read 62?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes, go on.
62.
Yes.
Tam eva saranam gacha sarva bhuvanam bharata tam parasada taparam sati satnam prasyasi sarvatam. O son of Bharata, surrender unto him utterly. By his grace, you will attain transcendental peace and a supreme and eternal abode. Purport. A living entity should therefore surrender unto the supreme personality of Godhead, who is situated in everyone's heart, and that will relieve him from all kinds of miseries of this material existence. By such surrender, not only will one be released from miseries in this life, but at the end, he will reach the supreme God. The transcendental word is described in the Vedic literature. Vedic 1:22-20 as Tam Vishnu Paranam Padam. Since all of creation is the kingdom of God, everything material is actually spiritual. But Paranam Padam specifically refers to the eternal abode, which is called the spiritual sky or Vaikuntha. In the 15th chapter.
Okay, Mataji, it's okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So it's same thing, huh? Krishna is trying to explain to Arjuna that he has to surrender. Oh, son of Bharata, surrender unto him utterly. By his grace, you will attain transcendental peace and the supreme eternal abode. Yeah. These are the result of surrendering to Krishna. Text 63. Who can read Krishna Priya Mataji, can you read?
Krishna.
Yes. 63.
Text 63. Yes, text 63.
Yeah.
Ititejna nanam akyatam budyam buyataramaya vimesh vaidam asisena yate shashi tatakuru. Translation. Thus, I have explained to you knowledge, still more confidential. Deliberate on this fully and then do what you wish to do. Purport. The Lord has already explained to Arjuna the knowledge of Brahma Buddha. One who is in Brahma Buddha condition is joyful. He never laments, nor does he desire anything. That is due to confidential knowledge. Krishna also discloses knowledge of the super soul. This is also Brahman knowledge. Knowledge of Brahman, but it is superior. Here in the words, Yate Shasi Tata Kuru, as you like, you may act, indicates that God does not interfere with the little independence of the living entity. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord has explained in all respects how one can elevate his living condition. The best advice imparted to Arjuna is to surrender unto the super soul seated within his heart. By right discrimination, one should agree to act according to the order of the super soul. That will help one become situated constantly in Krishna consciousness. The highest perfectional stage of human life, Arjuna is being directly ordered by the personality of Godhead to fight. Surrender to the supreme personality of Godhead is in the best interest of the living entities. It is not for the interest of the supreme. Before surrendering, one is free to deliberate on this subject. As far as the intelligence goes, that is the best way to accept the instruction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such instructions come also through the spiritual master, the bona fide representative of Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Good, good, good. Yeah, thus I have explained to you knowledge, still more confidential. Deliberate on this fully, and then do what you wish to do. And the last paragraph will say that before surrendering, one is free to deliberate on this subject as far as his intelligence goes. So in the previous verses, we learn understanding in the three modes. Do you remember? Yes or no? Do you remember that we study the three categories of understanding? Understanding in the ignorance, understanding in the passion, and understanding in the goodness. Do you remember?
Yes, Maharaj.
Yeah. Now it is time to apply this intelligence, this understanding. If our intelligence is in ignorance or in passion, we will fail the exam. Because here we are meant to use our free will. We are free to deliberate on this subject as far as the intelligence goes. So how far our intelligence goes? How far? That's why in one of the verse, Krishna, we just read it here. I don't know if I remember. Krishna says, he says, I never manifest to anyone. I don't manifest myself to anyone. We just read it somewhere, yeah. Naham Prakasa Sarvasya, Bhagavad Gita 7:55. So yeah, we have we are free actually to accept Krishna or not. But our acceptance of or rejecting Krishna will depend on our intelligence. That's why in Chatusloki Gita, you remember Chatusloki Gita? Krishna said, Dadami Buddhi Ham. He said, I will give you the intelligence. To study Bhagavad Gita is very interesting, huh? Very, very interesting. If you go to text, go back to text 10, this. Yeah. Krishna gives intelligence. If you surrender to Krishna, Krishna will give intelligence. But if you are not, we are on our own with our very stupid intelligence, then we cannot get it. Yeah. Yes. Bhagavad Gita 10:10. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. You understand? So, if you are intelligent, Krishna will give us intelligence. I mean, if we are surrendered to Krishna. But if we are not devotee, we have the choice to use our intelligence in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance. It depends. Text 65. Who can read here? Baralila Prabhu. 64.
64.
Yes.
Sarvagunya tamam puya Srinomi paramam vacha Ishtostime dam iti dato vikchanmi tehitam. Translation: because you are my very dear friend, I am speaking to you my supreme instruction, the most confidential knowledge of all. Hear this from me, for it is for your benefit. Purport: the Lord has given Arjuna knowledge that is confidential, knowledge of Brahma, and still more confidential knowledge of the super soul within everyone's heart. And now he is giving the most confidential part of knowledge. Just surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. At the end of the 9th chapter.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so, yeah, because you are my very dear friend, I'm sticking to you my supreme instruction, the most confidential knowledge of all. Hear this from me, for it is for your benefit. I think we text 51 to 53, we're describing the how to get some knowledge, how to get Brahma, how to get to the stage of Brahman. See, so now Krishna says here that because you are my very dear friend, I'm speaking to you my supreme instruction, the most confidential knowledge of all. Hear this from me, for it is for your benefit. 65. Who is reading?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yeah, please read. Gorakshakti.
Yes, Maharaj, I don't know whether I can ask some question before reading.
Yeah, sure.
Yes. Okay. Here, Krishna says that he is going to give some confidential knowledge, but at the same time, you are asked to preach. Now, how can we preach without revealing those confidential knowledge?
Yes, this question, but because you are my very dear friend, I'm speaking to you by supreme instruction, the most confidential knowledge. Or hear this from me. But we are not finished. We are still continuing, you know.
Okay. Okay. Fine.
We have more
so thank you very much, Marais. So I will continue reading. 65. Man mana baba mad bakto mariaji mam namaskuru mam eva shashi satyamte prati jane priyosime. Translation: always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fear. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. Purport: the most confidential part of knowledge is that one should become a pure devotee of Krishna and always think of him and act for him. One should not become an official meditator. Life should be so modeled that one will always have the chance to think of Krishna. One should always act in such a way that all his daily activities are in connection with Krishna. He should arrange his life in such a way that throughout the 24 hours, he cannot but think of Krishna. And the Lord's promise is that anyone who is in such pure Krishna consciousness will certainly return to the abode of Krishna, where he will be engaged in the association of Krishna face to face. This most confidential part of knowledge is spoken to Arjuna because he is the dear friend of Krishna. Everyone who follows the path of Arjuna can become a dear friend to Krishna and obtain the same perfection as Arjuna.
Good. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank
Yes, you have a question. What is that confidential knowledge? The answer is yeah. Your question have its answer here. The first line of the purpose says the most confidential part of knowledge is that one should become a pure devotee of Krishna and always think of him and act for him. How to get there? That's why man mana baba mad bhakto mad yahi mam namaskuru mam evasya satamte pratijane yosme. I think the same similar verse is there, 934, right? You remember? There's one verse similar like this one. Who remember this verse?
929 or
no? 934.
934. Okay.
934 says mana baba mad bhakto mad jai mam namaskuru mam evasyasi yuktevyam.
Yes. I've seen it.
Yeah. See?
I've seen it.
One. Mana baba mam bhakto mad jai namaskuru mam namaskuru mam evasyasi satamte pasjane priyo. You see? So the most confidential knowledge is to become a pure devotee of Krishna and always think of him and ask for him. Yeah. And for your knowledge, this verse is a verse to memorize. Yeah. So far we've got 3 verses to memorize. The next one also is same. So chapter 16, 54 to memorize, 55, 65, and 66. Yeah. So the most confidential knowledge is that one should become a pure devotee of Krishna and always think of him and ask for him. So our duty is when we become a devotee, it's not all in all. One thing is to become a devotee, another thing is to become a pure devotee. That's why
Yes,
the
sir.
yoga ladder is there. From Shraddha to Sadhusanga, Bhajana Kriya, and so on and so on and so on, Baba and Prema. Yes, Gora Shakti.
Yeah, yes, Maharaj. The question I asked is why it is okay. When they say it is confidential, it must not be revealed. So I would like to know whether this knowledge that is confidential, when we are preaching, we should pay attention not to reveal it or how. I would like you to throw light on it.
Yeah,
Yes.
when something is confidential, we reveal. Krishna said to Arjuna, "I'm revealing it to you because you are my devotee and you are my friend."
Yes.
You know, so
Yes.
you reveal something. It's not that when you preach. Anyway, we're going to see in the next week. That will be the last session. Krishna will tell Arjuna that this stance of Bhagavad Gita should not be preached to those who are not devotee or those who envy me. Krishna will tell Arjuna like that. But this one, Krishna says, always think of me because my devotee worship me, offer your homage unto me, you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. So we don't reveal confidential things to anybody, to friends. You are knowing this because you are devotee. See, so
Let
if you
the
go on the
person
public
become
and tell
sincere.
people, okay, please, everybody, you go on the bus station and say, please, worship Krishna, then become friend of Krishna. No, they will not understand. You understand because you are a devotee. You know, that when you go on preaching, there are certain things you tell the people, the general people, and there are some things you don't tell them.
Yes.
If you go and preach and say Krishna, you teach about Rasa Leela, Krishna dance with the gopis, they can't understand. It's confidential.
15,000 wives. They will not agree.
Understand? There is step-by-step preaching.
Yes.
Okay, the last verse of today. Who can read?
I will read. Hare Krishna.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay.
65th. Savadamam parityaja mam ekam saramam raja aham tvam sava pabebyo moksha mi mam socha. Translation: abandon all variety of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. From all sinful reactions. Do not fear. Purport: the Lord has described various kinds of knowledge and processes of religion. Knowledge of the Supreme Brahman, knowledge of the Supersoul, knowledge of the different types of orders and status of social life, knowledge of the renounced order of life, knowledge of non-attachment, sense and mind control, meditation, etc. He has described in so many ways different type of religion. Now, in summarizing Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that Arjuna should give up all the processes that have been explained to him. He should simply surrender to Krishna. That surrender will save him from all kinds of sinful reactions, for the Lord personally promises to protect him. In the 7th chapter, it is said that only one who has become free from all sinful reactions can take to the worship of Lord Krishna. Thus, one may think that unless he is free from all sinful reactions, he cannot take to the surrendering process. To such doubts, it is here said that Even if one is not free from all sinful reactions, simply by accepting, simply by the process of surrendering to Sri Krishna, he is automatically freed. There is no need of strenuous effort to free oneself from sinful reactions. One should unhesitatingly accept Krishna as the supreme savior of all living entities. With faith and love, one should surrender to him. The process of surrender to Krishna is described in the Hari Bhakti Vilasa 676.
Please jump that one and go directly to the
according to not okay. According to the devotional process, one should simply accept such religious principles that will lead ultimately to the devotional service of the Lord. One may perform a particular occupational duty according to his position in the social order. But if by executing his duty, one does not come to the point of Krishna consciousness, all his activities are in vain. Anything that does not lead to the perfectional stage of Krishna consciousness should be avoided. One should be confident.
Thank you. Yeah, there is one verse, I got it in Srimad Bhagavatam. I hope I will find it easily. I will read to you. Yes. Yeah, because this sentence, one may perform a particular occupational duty according to his position in the social order. But if by executing his duty, one does not come to the point of Krishna consciousness, all his activities are in vain. Anything that does not lead to the perfectional stage of Krishna consciousness should be avoided. See, that's why we mentioned about the four, that the analogy we read, that there is a default in every action we do. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and all. So if actually the Varnas, they are there to create peace and harmony in the material world. So if there is the peace and harmony in the material world, so then what next? If you stay peaceful in the prison, is he very intelligent? You are in a prison and you are peaceful. Peace in the prison. The most intelligent person, you will learn how to get out from the prison. Right? So here, it says, one may perform a particular occupation duty according to his position in the social order, but if by executing his duty, one does not come to the point of Krishna consciousness, all his activities are in vain. Anything that does not lead to the perfectional stage of Krishna consciousness should be avoided. And the verse I want to read to you is from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, chapter 23, text 56. It says, Nyayat karma dharmaya na viraghaya kalpate na tirtapada sevaya jivanapi rito isaha. Oh, it is just in French. It is any person who acts, anybody whose action doesn't take him to religion, any person whose religious practice doesn't lead him to renunciation, and any renunciation doesn't lead to devotional service, that person should be considered dead, even though that person is breathing. Huh? You can check Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 3, chapter 3, no, canto 3, chapter 23, and text 56. Yeah, maybe let me see. It's very interesting. It's very similar. So when this verse, Sarva Dharma Parityagam Mamekam Sarana Vraja, people say, I worship God, I go to church, these are, but if the conclusion is not to satisfy Krishna, then it's a waste of time. Let me see. 393, yes. 56. Yeah, yeah. Anyone whose work is not meant to elevate in him to religious life, anyone whose religious ritualistic performances does not raise him to renunciation, anyone situated in renunciation that does not lead him to devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead must be considered dead, although he is breathing. Okay? Yeah. So this is the last verse of today. This is a verse also we have to memorize also. So next Saturday we will finish this unit 3. Okay, that will be the last class for this section, unit 3. Okay. So if you have some comments, some questions, this section was very intense. I know. So many things we learned. So you have some comments, some questions. Yeah. Otherwise, we meet Saturday. Please read verse text 67 and 78. That will be the last section, and we'll finish this unit 3. Okay. Any comments? Any questions? Okay. Please check your handbook page. Let's see, page 65 to 66. There you can have all the analogies. Your handbook, page 65 to page 66. You can get all the analogies there from unit 3. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, Maharaj. Thank you.
Yeah. See you Saturday. I will.
Okay, Maharaj.
Guru Shakti, you are muted.
His Holiness Bhakti Shastri Maharaj Ki Jai.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Happy New Year.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Happy New Year to you too. Good health.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Happy New Year to you also.
Yes, we're all looking for the programs now. Bye-bye.